week we have the sun in gate 32 and the earth in gate 42.
Mm, duration and expansion.
Yeah, it's interesting. I love watching it like move around the wheel and like just like as we continue on the journey. So for everyone watching at home, we have our walk around the wheel that we're going through, and it's going counterclockwise with the sun and the earth that we're following in that progression. The sun is in the gate 32, which is continuity, and the earth is in 42, which is this increase, this growth, completion.
Moni, can I ask you a question? Where did we start in this wheel on this
Oh, it was
process?
Sleeping Phoenix in May. It was like 2034 time. That was our first week.
No kidding.
Mhm.
20 where's oh no, it was okay, right after 8. All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been really fun as I've been, like, continuing to, like, play
Look
with
at
these
how much
things.
motion, dude. We've gone pretty far. This is good.
Yeah, it's neat. I love just, like, going around through it and, like, continuing because it's, like, I find with so much of the human design, it's, like, you get little bits of it repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly, and different things stick at different times that, you know maybe today you're not gonna get it, but then we're gonna mention it in, like, 3, 4, 5 months, and then something
That's how
clicks.
it goes. Yeah, totally. That is how it goes. So, continuity and increase.
Yeah. So the sun in gate 32, duration, continuity, as you're saying. The only thing that endures is change. It's a splenic gate and it's tribal circuitry, specifically part of the ego circuit. And it links up with gate 54, which is this energy of ambition or drive. And the 32, 54 together make the channel of transformation. And so gate 32 is a constant evaluation as an instinctive recognition of what can and cannot be transformed. The underlying fear of failure, all splenic gates have some kind of fear associated with them. So for gate 32, it's this fear of failure. And the spleen's contribution to the material continuity of the tribe with a gift of recognizing who has the skills or education to move up in the world. It uses influence to bring the attention to those in positions of authority.
It's incredibly influential. I often wonder how loud does 32 speak in its tribal setting, because it's really got the juice on what to do and what not to do as it relates to holding together this notion of its companion on the other side. I keep calling it expansion. I've always called it that, but it is growth, this expansive type of growth,
Mhm.
um, which is the opposite of what this gate would like. It's deeply conservative, is the thing.
Oh, that's
This is a
interesting.
week when people will potentially be feeling deeply conservative about what they will and won't risk, because that duration is to traverse the duration of a life. And in a tribe, the tribal life goes even farther than the life of any one. It goes on to what? The whole progeny and on through the posterity of the ages if they last. And that's what it's looking for. It understands there's change, but it sure would like it if there wasn't. you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
That makes sense.
but
Yeah,
the
then
thing is, it knows it can't go without the change. It's connected intrinsically to 54 ambition, an adrenal fuel, which is the opposite of what duration necessarily asks for it. And and then this channel of transformation, the duration and the conservativeness is regarding, will it fail at transforming or not when needed? So it's this bit, that's what I'm saying, it's sort of at the tip of the spear as it relates to the awareness of how the tribe doesn't fail. That's how I would call this gate.
it's really, really interesting. I love getting more understanding of this. I have the gate 54, I have 54.4, and it's like pure change, and it's this root center drive for change, and it's
The
hanging. So
alpha
I'm
and
just
the omega, right?
Yeah, exactly. Which I find like super fascinating. But yeah, it's like this pure adrenal drive, this ambition. And then the 32, it's like, okay, what does that mean? So it's receiving this adrenaline pulse, it's receiving this drive and ambition. It's like, cool, cool, cool. Okay, we're going for the continuity and the duration and the long term survival of the tribe. So I'm going to see your ambition. I'm going to see your desire for something new and transformation and what can be transformed, what cannot be, like what has value in that way. That's
And
very
think,
interesting.
yeah, and another thing that fuels its fear, pardon the pun, is the fact that once it comes into symbiosis with 54, and you are now having a whole channel, which is obviously, greater than the sum of its parts. It's the fear of dancing with the 54 devil,
Oh,
because
okay. Yeah, yeah,
50,
yeah.
54 says, "Well, just move over. I'm trying to claw my way up. I want to move this thing along. I'm driven." It's a
Mm.
design of being driven. And people I know with this channel, they're driven, they're driven, they're driven, they're driven. And it's like, come on, I want to take a nap already or something, you know.
I know, we gotta go. Let's do the thing.
Yeah. So that is part of its fear. Its fear is an intelligence. This has got to be one of the more intuitively intelligent gathering instinctual gates. I shouldn't even say intuitive. It's instinct, the stream of instinct, and it's the instinct to basically see what might be coming down the pike, or to be blinded in the absence of seeing. And
Mm.
either way, the spleen gets the infamous hit sooner or later. I knew it, you know. So 32 is like the saddest. I knew it of all the splenic gates, I would say, because it's watching failure happen.
Mm.
So I'm just saying, routinely, it would be
Especially in
like,
that tribal continuity kind of way of just like the ongoing nature of the tribe. That must be
mhm,
heartbreaking.
yep,
Fascinating. All right, onward to gate 42.
yep.
All right.
42
So,
acts a lot like 54 in a way. It's not quite driven, but it's loaded with juice, and it's just
ooh,
trying to get somewhere.
that's interesting. Okay,
Yep.
let's dive in. So, gate 42 is this energy of increase and growth. It says that the expansion of resources, which maximizes the development of potential. So, it's a sacral gate. It's individual circuitry, which you think empowerment, and specifically the sensing circuit. It links up with gate 53, which is development, and the 5342 is this channel of maturation. In gate 42, it's the tenacity to stay with a cycle in order to maximize its inherent potential, generating growth and balancing development by using humanity's collected experiences to create a foundation for its future progress. To focus on what it takes to energetically complete a cycle or process, and weak or insufficiently supported beginnings make you nervous and uncomfortable.
Mm. Yeah, there's a lot of that because it's a format gate, so it's responsible for energizing the entire circuitry that way. So the
Mm.
entire abstract sensing, emotional, tribal circuitry is energized by this channel when it's a full channel. So 42 is this expansiveness, and it's I love this word tenacity because 54 is loaded with its own version of tenacity. And
Mm.
they're trying to get somewhere. The collective might as well be this 42 collective gate might as well be driven in a way to get to the collective to share all of this and find out what does it mean, right? To go through the experience. Whereas 54's ambition is more uniquely individual in that way, as because it's for its own tribe only and not for the greater collective. So these two things have to talk to each other. The expansiveness, which won't shut the F up, technically, because it's got to share, along with the exact opposite of that, the cautious continuity, needing continuity in a way that is conservative.
Oh,
That starts.
interesting.
It starts again. It's got the awareness to surf any changing wave. So the changes come to the tribe, and 32 is alert to all of that, just like 44 is. Um, but it's not the crazy expansiveness, although it could ride that expansiveness. So I guess what this says is you put 42 and 32 together, and it's a design to keep pushing expansiveness with the incredible intelligence of the spleen as a throttle to it all.
Oh.
Yeah, a braking mechanism too.
Like
That's
again, the balance and harmony. Right before the show, Natalie and I were just talking about that of bringing things into harmony. And so
right,
that
right,
relationship between the polarity of the 32 and the 42, even showing that expression of harmony. And that's the thing, you don't necessarily want things to be balanced because nothing is ever going to be 50%, 50%. You're going
right,
to want it
right.
in a nice harmony where they can properly flow together.
Very little is balanced if you think about it. You got to try real hard to get two exact same things on a fulcrum the same distance apart to make it actually balance.
Yeah, that's a
The
good point.
norm is not quite balanced. Well, even our eyes aren't exactly identical on either side. The
Yeah.
norm is not quite balanced. It's
Yeah.
slightly askew.
And they need to just be in
Just like
harmony.
the angles, if you got X, you got 5 or 6, 7 right angles, 5 uh, 4 left angles and 1
Mm,
juxt, so it's we're not really supposed to be balanced, and so this balances its own self out. It
it
harmonizes, right?
harmonizes it. Yeah, I love that. I love that conversation.
Sacral fuel, baby. That's what this is. It's not aware. It's not aware. So 32 would be like the parent to 42 and sometimes quite annoyed with it, I bet. If you want to put it to anthropomorphize it that way.
No, that's a really cool way to like see those two in conversation with one another. The 42 is just going to keep going and going and going and increasing and expanding and completing and getting to the end of that cycle. And that 32 is like, okay, I see your transformation and your ambition. And here's how we're going to actually funnel it into something that's like useful and has continuity to it. Because just growth in and of itself, you might be able to keep going or you might be able to finish something in that collective nature, but relating it to the 32 and that tribal nature is like we want, something that's going
That's
to be continuing and ongoing.
that's a serious sifting mechanism, a lens, a prism. 32 is going to sharpen up whatever. 42 doesn't need to necessarily sharpen up, but it does need to complete the thing. That's what the whole maturation process is about. It is about coming to completion, very much is the gate of that,
Hmm.
coming to completion. And so that it'll have in common with 32. But yeah, this as oppositions on the wheel. What is this? This is the cross of the Maya, right?
Yeah, that's gonna be the first one. Yeah, so let's just
Oh,
jump right to that.
yep.
Yeah,
That's
so
funny.
as you just said, right, we start with the cross of the Maya, and this is so people who are born this week, people whose inner knowing and use of detail guide their ability to properly evaluate and inspire material development, maturation, and expansion.
Mm, I love that. So the Maya people, when I have a term for the Maya people, they float across the Maya. They surf the Maya. The Maya is the all of us. We constitute the Maya in this way. Technically, everything does. The birds, the bees, and everything constitute the totality of the Maya. But most of what's important to us is the other of us in it. And so the people on the cross of the Maya tend to float the social arena, even if they're reclusive for whatever reason. They tend to float amongst all the people, and the knowing and the use of the detail and the 62 and the 61 that are on the other side does guide their ability. And it's this evaluation that helps inspire mental development in others. So this person would be bringing expansive mental development to others. This week, watch out for expansiveness. Watch out for yourself wanting to go a little too far and then suddenly being afraid because you went too far. And neither one of them will be true. You know, Ponder that for a moment. And now's the time. We got off of being brave last week, as I recall, in the now. And so take some of that with you. Take some of that with you. We're living in a pretty tame world. Expand whatever it is that you feel you need to move into, because by now you've been having the urge to, with this thing holding you back that you might not even recognize what it is. That's 32. It's doing its job. It's saying, slow down, cowboy. you know, Slow your roll, cowboy.
I feel like that flows perfectly into the next cross, which is the juxtaposition cross of conservation.
Oh,
Sure,
that's too
wary.
funny.
I know,
Yeah,
right? I was like, I think this
yeah.
is too perfect. Wary risk takers guided by the value of continuity or duration, who conserve our resources to ensure survival of future generations.
Oh, and they're fixed on it because that's the fourth
Yeah, four
line.
one. That'll be the 4-1.
Yes, put them in charge of the thing that is that, because they're just fixed on it. They'll go down with the ship. They can't help it. Incredibly watching for that thing. And I imagine a little bit jumpy sometimes if they don't know their design, because that fourth line will be fixed on it and their mind will grab that and constantly say stuff like, you be afraid constantly.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're like concerned about like the continuation, the conservation of
Hmm.
resources and survival of future generations, it's gonna be like, yeah, like you said, slow your roll, cowboy.
Hmm.
I feel like then that goes in nicely into the left angle cross of limitation. And these are people who see impermanence as limitation, as a pressure, such as on in business or industry to value products based on their practicality and their ability to withstand the test of time.
And so that would have the 61 and the 62 would move into what's after
So
62 then?
for the conservation or for limitation?
limit either one.
Oh, 56 and 60. I didn't realize it was the same. I just learned a thing.
Yeah.
That's neat.
So it's going to
56 and
move.
60.
It's moving into. So it's going to start up with the cross of laws.
Hmm.
That's right. So okay, yeah, cool. So that makes sense. No, not the top, not the 42, 32, 42, not that one. The 61. What's right after 61 on the wheel? I mean, I almost have it in
Yeah,
my
because
mind.
the cross of Maya is the 32, 42, 62, 61, and then conservation then moves it to 56, 60, and then limitation is 56, 60 as well.
Right. And so, um, oh yeah, so the 56, 60. Sorry, my bad.
It's fine.
That
It's a
means
lot of numbers to process
so
and
it does,
remember.
yeah. So it moves into the laws. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I see exactly what I
yeah,
was
you're
going
right.
on. Yeah. So yeah, it moves into the cross of the laws. So this is amazing. These people seeking that are afraid of impermanence, they're not really afraid of it. They're meant to look out over all of it. It's a left angle cross. So really and truly, the duration and the continuity and this tribal instinct to basically protect the process. That's what these guys do. They're protecting the process. In fact, I would say this gate protects the process more than anything, except maybe gate 50. Um, and in the tribe, that is, and that protection of the process will see impermanence as a limitation. But the thing is, so how do we transcend our limitations? We accept them, right? It's like nature. How do you get along with nature? You obey her,
Hmm.
and then that that will be that. And so this is just a matter of this based on their practicality, wicked practical, conservative practical, its ability to withstand the test of time, but only as themselves. As not themselves, they won't withstand the test of time. This thing will keep them jumpy, busy, and making mental decisions quickly, spontaneously, potentially if they're not aware of what's going on with all of this. Yep.
Yeah.
So the Maya people ultimately go full circle around this juxtaposition to the left angle. So after you're done floating the people through the people, a person of the Maya, one way or another, it's time to make the law. So get to know the people, make the law. That's what the wheel says.
Hmm. And see like conservation and limitation of like, hey, we're looking for continuity and duration. We're going to see that, hey, impermanence and as a limitation. And how do you work with that? Okay, this is how we work at that. Not how this is how we're going to codify the laws. That's very interesting.
Yes, and now it's time to, and it actually makes sense to codify the laws that way. And by the way, the impermanence is also what the spleen is most afraid of in the first place as a totality, death. In that way, it's all impermanent. And I guess that's a bit of a limitation if you feel like looking at it that way. But, I used to say death and taxes, but now it's just death. But yeah, so
Yeah. But you need the limitation, like that's what keeps things going. That's like a game needs rules and you need to be able to lose the game and you need to have a way to win the game and how to engage with the game. So it's just like if there were no limitations, like if it would just be a free for all and that's just chaos and that's not very interesting in the long run.
I've always found it interesting in this cross, and the thing that comes up to me is this difference between, and not just this cross, but this whole circuitry is so the expansion of resources, right? That then to see what can we get done here? Let's pour it on finally, right? That's 42. And 41 though, which is in that same, obviously in that experiential circuitry, abstract circuitry, um, is the limitation of said expansion. It's just funny. These are the two gates that come, at or near the root center. And 41 says, which is all about desire and sort of a thirst and a hunger. Um, let's hold things back on purpose. It's like creating anticipation. And 42, which is the format for 41, says one of the formats for 41 says, um, hold back all you want, but we're expanding now. So whatever you held back on that then pushed its way through, now we're going to expand on that. It's as if these two guys need each other. It's the only reason I'm bringing up 41 because they have opposite ways of describing the holding back of the pressure or not. It just seems really interesting.
And you're talking about the 41 and which gate specifically?
42,
41
41
and
and
42. Okay,
yep.
interesting.
42 says maximize it all. 41 says
Okay. Contract.
contraction and decrease, pull back. They're both in the same stream, both wicked powerful. 42 is not on the root, but it's pointing right at it.
Yeah.
And they say these opposite things, and they create all that pressure that moves upward to that whole experiential process. So hi, we're going to do all of that while abundantly protected by gate 32. So this whole process has got a big fat wisdom sitting on top of it, the intelligence of the spleen. God is very smart.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that was great. All right. Ready for the hexagrams?
let's do it.
All right. So recap October 14th through the 18th, the sun in 32 and the earth is in 42. The sun, which is duration and continuity, and the hexagrams for this are thunder over wind. This is like fun every like little time when it goes around. They're eventually where they're opposite. So it's thunder over wind
Mhm.
and then wind over thunder. And I don't know why
Yeah,
that tickles me so much. So
that's cute.
for right. So for our imagery for the hexagram study, it says thunder and wind are endlessly interchangeable. They are part of a larger and lasting cycle. A noble one's inner nature, subtle as the wind, translates into action as decisive as thunder. So, however, the environment changes, everything he does will always travel in the same direction.
That's such a good description of 32. I mean, that really is. And but by the way, we don't have to parse through some kind of code to try and figure that one out, you know.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah,
Some
yeah,
of
yeah.
them are like you have to really mental gymnastics are required to put it all together, but that one just made sense on the face of it.
hmm The noble one's inner nature, subtle as the wind, translates into action as decisive thunder. So, however, the environment changes, everything he does will always travel in the same direction.
The spleen's decisive, spontaneous nature to create thunder. I love it. It is
Perfect.
spontaneous after all.
Yeah, of course, right? All right, ready
Mhm.
for 42?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
So 42 is wind over thunder. Wind and thunder are agents of change. Well, that's so fun. They have such a similarity there. Wind and thunder are agents of change. Thunder is like the inner spark of initiative and will. Wind is far-reaching influence in the world, free moving because of its endless ability to shape itself to the terrain. So the noble one moves as decisively as thunder and with the versatility of the wind. She does not hold fast to a chosen direction, but responds to whatever opportunities for improvement she can see. Do you have any like put it
Well,
all
yeah.
together, wrap a bow on it, put a
What
cherry
else
on
should
top?
people be expecting this week? That I mean, listen, 42 can go out of control. Here's another thing 42 is responsible for doing, not letting go. Its companion, polarity, on the other side, 52, would love to let go. It just likes to start. It's like a hungry dog on a chain wanting to get loose.
With the
And
53, yeah.
yeah, the 52, but the 42, no, that's the
53.
53.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 42 is once it gets a hold of it, its design is to mature that process to completion. That's why this gate is also called the gate of completion. It is a great formatting power to complete the experience.
Completion and continuity. That's interesting.
Yes, the completion of continuity, technically. So its expansive nature would be the expansive nature of the continuity, what the continuity says is okay to expand, technically. But you're looking at expansiveness and this capacity to latch on to something that you want to complete. So 1, 2, 3, start completing things
hmm
over the next few days and just feel the energy going through and just recognize it's a transit. It's not in your body unless you
Yeah.
have that gate already. So it'll come, it'll go. You might notice this week or just over the next few days that you have the desire to do what is it I'm saying,
Mhm.
but then it sort of wanes or it ebbs and it flows as those lines are and are not in harmony or resonance with your profile lines.
Oh, that's interesting.
Literally, quite literally, yeah. And if you're right, then you'll actually sense it more, but be able to recognize it less, unless you're really lucky. And then if you're left, you'll be able to recognize it, but won't be necessarily so sure what you're sensing because you're strategically thinking about it. Just in the now, in the moment, and then take that with you. This is a time to expand stuff. Take a risk. You just got off a risk last week, like I said, right? 51, 57, wasn't that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so leap still.
Hmm.
Call it residual leaping into something expansive. And don't worry, the continuity intelligence will make sure you land on your feet. 32 is like a cat, it lands on its feet, or not, obviously. You always add on, but it's most cats land on their feet. So
Yeah, that's interesting with like the earth being in 42. So grounding ourselves in coming to completion, right? Like, are there things that are just lingering on your to-do list? Like, cross that off, start like tying some things off, ground yourself, anchor yourself in that for your ongoing continuity, for that to shine through that sun transit of the duration and the continuity and moving forward in a healthy way.
thanks for adding mother into the clumsy boy way I said all of that just a moment ago. It's so much better and well-rounded now.
That's why we work as a pair, because I'd be lost
Yes,
without you.
Norman.
So
Yes,
together,
yes.
together we have everything.
Perfect. So that's our transit. That's our weather forecast for this week. Just pay attention to what is it you choose to expand.
Mhm. Yeah, bring things to completion. Start
Yep.
crossing things off, those, like, you wanna get it done, but you've been kind of, lazing about. Finish that off, ground yourself, anchor yourself in completing some stuff, and yeah, so you can shine that continuity and health and ongoing duration.
And if you don't have these gates in your body graph, watch it as it passes out into the next hexagram coming up. So